Welcome students to Linux Administration 1. This course is meant to go beyond those initial skills that you gained in the Introduction to Linux course. So we'll be building on all the command line basics that you've picked up so far, and a little bit of that user management that you learned toward the end of the semester. And we're going to apply that to the architecture of installing and maintaining the Linux operating system. So we'll be working with both a server version of Linux and also a desktop oriented distribution, and perhaps even more beyond that. So let me share my screen for a moment, and we'll see that we'll be using a text written by a gentleman named David Clinton, who has years of administration experience. And the title is Linux in Action. And it really is oriented toward the active part of keeping and maintaining a Linux environment. So I do believe you're going to enjoy what we have in store. Mr. Clinton has taken a little bit different approach than many texts or instructional manuals on Linux take. He's written the book in more of a problem-oriented fashion. So you can see on the page that is before us that we are looking down the left-hand column at some of the various chapters, and you can easily see that they are oriented toward doing or solving some problems. So in chapter 2, for instance, we're going to talk about Linux virtualization. So we're going to actually build a safe and straightforward Linux working environment. Now, many of you have done this in the Intro to Linux class, where you used Oracle VirtualBox and installed your Linux Mint desktop environment. And we're going to do some of those same things, building upon that skill by installing several Linux distributions that will be able to communicate with each other. Now, the book does heavily discuss a containerization system called LXC. We're not going to delve into that very much because it's the assumption is that your host hardware is running a Linux operating system. And I think for most of us, we're going to be working on either a Windows or a Macintosh platform for our host. So we will concentrate on using Oracle VirtualBox as our hypervisor or manager of our guest operating systems. So as we move through the book, when there is references to the containerization, we may discuss it a bit, but we're not going to hit that real heavy. I will provide additional videos intermixed throughout the semester to be your guide. And then the framework will be inside of our Linux in Action textbook. So we can see, if we move forward just a bit, that there are many chapters. some will spend more time on than others. One that I think you'll be excited about is to, look, in section 7, building our own wiki server. Excuse me, we'll try to do this slower. Here we go. So we'll be building a LAMP server. So that includes all of our nice tools for a database, a PHP for scripting, Apache for a web server, and then of course, your Linux. So that's LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And then we'll be looking at a media wiki. And whether we do that on CentOS or Ubuntu, I'll make that decision when the time comes. So you can take a look through your own textbook and see some of the exciting materials. If there is a particular topic that you're totally, dying to pursue, then make sure and reach out to me so I can be sure to emphasize it. Now, in this particular chart that we see on the screen, you can again gain an appreciation for our author's tact or methodology, where he presents a problem to be solved, and those problems happen to call upon a skill domain. So rather than having a dry text that just says, oh, today we're going to learn these 5 commands, and here's the extensions, and let's look at the man page, and we start with a problem to be solved, and then pull out of our toolkit the appropriate tools and techniques to solve that problem. My desire is for you to learn by doing, and I do believe that this will be an exciting and refreshing way to accomplish that. During the first week of class, we will make sure that we're all starting at the same point by refreshing some of those introduction to Linux concepts. We're going to talk about a couple different distros, review those basic commands, also make sure that we've got the basic survival skills for researching and solving problems using the Linux operating system. So that first week should be mostly review for you, and then we'll be able to hit the ground running going forward. So you can see that there are 16 chapters in this particular book. There are typically about 16 weeks in a semester. So that would allow 1 week for each topic. But that said, I might skip a topic or two and then devote some extra time to others that I think deserve that extra coverage. So come along for the ride. I think it'll be a very interesting and fun ride. And by the end of the semester, I think you'll really be able to be a contributor in any company that is using Linux as its platform. So I'm looking forward to having a good time, and I hope you are too.